There is so much bullshit. So much bullshit. So much bullshit everywhere. We're drowning in it. We're drowning in bullshit. So many reasons, right? Politicians are unconstrained by the facts these days, it seems. Enough! Enough bullshit!
We live in a time historians are calling the post-truth era, a world where public opinion is shaped by appeals to emotion, not facts. Facts have become irrelevant. The contrast is startling when we remember that once we proudly proclaimed that we were living in the Enlightenment, a period of time characterized by a respect for reason and science as tools for understanding the world, and a commitment to intellectual and religious freedom. Enlightenment thinking helped spawn the American Revolution and serves as the basis of the U.S. Constitution. To abandon such high ideals is concerning to many. Facts today are more than just irrelevant to discussions. They are often deliberately twisted to obscure the truth. Fake news and outright lying in public discourse is so prevalent there are actually college courses for credit on how to recognize bullshit when you step in it.
These days, Americans spend nearly an hour a day on Facebook. Doing what? Mostly spreading bullshit. Higher education, if you don't know this by now, you guys are seniors, higher education rewards bullshit over analytic thought.
Have you ever met someone that was so aggravating, so stubborn, and so out of touch with reality that they refused to look at objective factual information that disproved their point of view?
Why do we find groups so polarized over matters where the evidence is so unequivocal? Climate change, vaccines, attendance figures for Trump's inauguration. One reason is that we are not entirely rational. Humans make decisions based more on emotions than facts. Which makes sense because beliefs affect our well-being and our happiness. We seek out information that makes us feel good, and we avoid information that doesn't. Our brain reacts to information just like it does to the taste of food. Some is desirable, some not. Cognitive scientists tell us we all have what are called protected beliefs.
Another part of the problem is that our brain is constantly protecting our worldview and sense of identity. So when our worldview is challenged, that same part of the brain that processes physical danger gets activated. This is why people sometimes react so aggressively to information that proves them wrong. And this is why it's often so hard to have an intelligent political debate.
One of the most well-known of those strategies for preserving our self-image is called confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias is the tendency of people's minds to seek out information that supports the views they already hold. It also leads people to interpret evidence in ways that support their pre-existing beliefs, expectations, or hypotheses.
The brain is just doing what it's programmed to do, protect our self-image by protecting our core beliefs, filtering out information that doesn't fit, and going out of its way to find information that does fit. And this is not just theory. Hundreds of experiments over decades of psychological and neuroscientific investigation demonstrate how this process, the generic term for which is motivated reasoning, how it effectively denies or ignores facts in order to reach biased but emotionally satisfying conclusions. How far will people go to get away from facts that contradict their beliefs? Often, of course, people just deny facts or dispute their validity. But if that doesn't work, subjects in psychological experiments have been known to fall back on a more radical strategy to protect their pre-established belief. Consider a recent experiment on the issue of same-sex parenting. Facts could be relevant to whether same-sex marriage and parenting should be legal or not. For example, what if valid data showed that children raised by same-sex parents are worse off than children raised by opposite-sex parents? That would be a relevant consideration. Or what about the opposite? What if data showed that children raised by same-sex parents were just as well off as children raised by opposite-sex parents? That would also be relevant. Objective data could clearly inform and guide a responsible decision about gay parenting. But whichever side the facts come down on, what if they contradicted your own view? Well, first the brain will simply ignore the contradictory facts, push them under the rug, make them go away. And if that doesn't work, well, deny their validity. People might say, those researchers were biased because they were funded by such and such an organization. Or, you know how easy it is to lie with statistics. The first line of defense, therefore, is to sidestep the facts. Okay, but what if that doesn't work either? What if you can't get away with just dismissing those inconvenient facts? In an experiment with 174 participants who were shown facts that opposed their views on same-sex marriage and parenting, participants on both sides of the issue were more likely to state that same-sex marriage isn't really about facts at all. It's more a question of morality, they said, not science. But when the facts were on their side, they more often stated that yes, their opinions were mostly fact-based and not primarily dependent upon morals. In other words, what's happening is something beyond the simple denial of particular facts. People, when confronted with contradictory facts, are denying the relevance of facts. Science itself has become irrelevant to the issue. We are all biased, researchers tell us, and this bias is baked in, so to speak, hardwired in the limbic system of the brain in an area called the amygdala. When confronted with unpleasant information, the brain automatically kicks into high gear with strategies to protect us from cognitive dissonance. We use reason as a tool to help us analyze incoming information, not so much to determine accuracy, but to ensure the survival of our most precious beliefs, our core integrity, our self-image. The larger generic term used to refer to what the brain is doing to protect core beliefs is called motivated reasoning, because the process is motivated and employed to find shortcuts to reach predetermined, emotionally satisfying conclusions. From this neurological perspective, then, confirmation bias, the tendency people have to embrace information that supports their beliefs and reject information that contradicts them, is part of human nature and is difficult to avoid. Fake news, says a tech executive in the Netflix documentary The Social Dilemma, spreads 6 times faster than truth. In the 2016 American presidential campaign, for example, a fake news site posting pro-Trump stories garnered 30 million views on Facebook shortly before the election.
At the start of 2016, in a small town called Veles in Macedonia, an 18-year-old high school student discovered that he could make more money than his parents by building fake news sites. To protect his identity, we'll call him Boris. And here's how he did it. He wrote tons of false articles about the US election, most of them salacious. The articles were shared on Facebook, garnering tons of traffic. So much so that Boris's most popular website earned him $16,000 over the course of a few months. That's way higher than the average monthly salary in Macedonia, which is $371. So, Boris dropped out of high school. And he was not alone. In the final weeks of the election, there were more than 100 political websites registered to Veles. The most popular stories were pro-Trump, but that's not because Boris and his fake news publishers liked the candidate. They just liked the money. Trump supporters just happened to be more likely to share fake news. Researchers tracked 30 million shares of pro-Trump stories on Facebook in the months before the election.
And today, 2023, an explosion of AI technology has made it virtually impossible to separate the real from the fake. Beta releases to the public have made it easy for anyone with a computer to create fake video, fake images, fake audio, and to saturate the internet with disinformation. Reality itself is under siege. all the elements of the post-truth era, a disdain for facts, science, reason, expertise, the eclipse of logic and evidence in favor of emotional appeals to influence opinions, manipulating data and disseminating disinformation for personal gain, all that coalesces into a perfect storm when we mix AI-generated, astonishingly realistic deepfakes with the viral outreach of social media.
See, I would never say these things.
But is post-truth just a slogan, a passing phase, or does it really signify, as some claim, a new and unprecedented age? And should we fear or embrace the future? Lying and disinformation and fake news is clearly a threat to the very foundation of democracy, which is predicated on citizens making informed decisions based on facts.
Fact-based information is the fuel democracies run on. It's the raw material from which societies identify problems and formulate solutions.
The major new challenge in reporting news is the new shape of truth, said Kevin Kelly, co-founder of Wired magazine. Truth is no longer dictated by authorities, but is networked by peers. For every fact, there is a counterfact, and all those counterfacts and facts look identical online, which is confusing to most people. In 2017, the Pew Research Center conducted a large canvassing of technologists, scholars, practitioners, strategic thinkers, and others, and asked them to respond to two questions. 1, will accurate information eventually prevail over lies and fake news? And 2, or will the quality and veracity of information online continue to deteriorate? The results were pretty evenly split. More specifically, 51% of these experts expected things will not improve because, they said, the fake news ecosystem, unfortunately, preys on some of our deepest human instincts. For example, the fact that human nature's inbred preference for emotionally satisfying conclusions means that often we simply can't handle the truth. And secondly, they said, we can never discount our greedy quest for success and power, which is always going to play loose with the truth. On the other hand, on the other side, the 49% of these experts who expected things to improve generally believe that technology will somehow learn to fix these problems. The reasoning being, well, we've always solved problems in the past, somehow we will do it again. The bottom line then, according to those in the know, is that the post-truth era is real. It's here. It's causing problems. How those problems will play out in the future is a coin toss.